Rangers supporters are going through one of those spells where every match feels heavier than the last, and you can sense the tension hanging over the club every time the team steps onto the pitch. Over the past few days, the noise around one particular player has only grown louder, and the fan base is more divided than ever about what he is offering just now. It is not simply the results that are stirring frustration, but the individual displays that have left a section of the support shifting uncomfortably in their seats. No matter how much people try to push the conversation aside, the unease is growing both in the stands and behind the scenes. With the calendar tightening and Rangers needing sharp answers, the feeling that a major decision is looming becomes harder to ignore, almost as if everyone senses that something significant is on the horizon. The recent European defeat only poured more fuel on the fire. The team started the night with genuine belief that they could push on in the tournament, and for a moment it looked like things were falling into place, especially after Bojan Movsky found the net with a tidy finish that briefly settled nerves. But the match flipped in an instant. The equalizer shifted the mood completely, and when the second goal went in, it felt like yet another chapter in a long book of continental disappointments that the supporters would rather forget. For some players, though, that night carried even more weight, and one of them was the young Frenchman whose season looks worlds apart from how it began. Back at the start of the campaign, he was seen as one of the most explosive talents in the squad, the kind of player who could glide past defenders with a burst of pace and who always seemed to rise to the occasion under the European lights. Supporters remembered how so many of his early goals for Rangers came in big continental fixtures, and that fueled the belief that he could be a real difference maker. But the spark that once defined him has dimmed steadily, almost as if each tactical shift drained another slice of the confidence that used to flow through him. When the coaching staff changed and the system narrowed, he suddenly looked like a player out of place, someone who used to thrive out wide and now finds himself trapped in tighter pockets of the pitch. His frustration reached a breaking point when he was taken off just before the hour mark. Rangers were desperate for a goal to keep their European hopes alive, and the moment his number was shown, his reaction said everything. The gesture, the expression, the body language, it all painted a picture far clearer than the performance itself. It was not only the disappointment of a player unhappy with his own display, it felt like someone who has yet to find any comfort in the new setup, and the crowd picked up on it immediately. What once looked like a temporary dip now resembles something deeper, perhaps a growing disconnect between the player and the style of football being asked of him. The contrast becomes even sharper when you compare his current role with what he had under the previous manager. Back then, his job was simple: stretch the pitch, take on the fullback, and create chaos in one-on-one situations. It suited him perfectly, taking advantage of his acceleration and attacking instinct. But the present system demands something else entirely. It asks for inside movements, tight combinations near the striker, and constant involvement in crowded areas. It is the kind of football that limits improvisation and demands a more collective understanding. And while the team as a whole has shown signs of settling into this new structure, he appears to have been left behind. Even so, there are clubs keeping a close eye on his situation. A Spanish side has been monitoring him for weeks, convinced he might simply need the right environment to click again. Considering he cost a little over £2 million, a quick sale could bring in a tidy profit, and that is not something the board can ignore. as much as sporting priorities come first, the financial reality of a club that invested heavily in the summer also carries weight. A chance to recover funds and possibly even come out ahead naturally enters the discussion. But the debate stretches far beyond transfer fees or market opportunities. The real question is whether this slump is only temporary or if the player genuinely cannot adapt to the current style of play. There is a vast difference between struggling to adjust and being fundamentally misplaced in a system, and supporters watch him trying to figure out which of the two he belongs to. His reaction to being substituted only deepened the concern, almost acting as a signal that things may be reaching a sensitive point. And as the patience of the fan base wears thinner by the week, the club must tread carefully and make smart calls, because every decision from here could shape not only the rest of the season, but the approach to the next transfer window. Meanwhile, away from the noise surrounding the Frenchman, the club is working behind the scenes on potential reinforcements. Rangers have been keeping tabs on a young midfielder making waves in Norway, a player with a towering frame, sharp football intelligence, and a technical ability you do not often see in someone his size. His rapid rise in the Norwegian league has caught the attention of several European sides, and Rangers are among the clubs considering a serious move. The issue, however, is the price tag. Early figures suggest the fee required could be significantly higher than first expected, especially with multiple teams circling around him in a competitive market. Every small detail becomes decisive. His potential arrival ties directly into the internal decisions about who fits the manager's long-term plans. One of the current midfielders has yet to fully convince in this new system, and that opens the door for a different profile to be targeted. The Norwegian youngster brings attributes that could suit the physical and fast-paced nature of Scottish football, and his maturity on the ball goes well beyond his age. The blend of strength, composure, and vision has led many to believe he is ready for a step up, and the Premiership could be the perfect stage for the next chapter of his development. As discussions continue behind closed doors, there is a growing sense that Rangers are entering a crossroads moment, not only regarding current squad members, but in how they shape the next phase of the campaign. Supporters can feel it as well. You hear it in the pubs before matches, in the murmurs at Ibrox, and across every corner of the fan base. It is that anxious mixture of curiosity and concern, wondering whether the club is ready to push forward with conviction or whether hesitation will allow crucial opportunities to slip away. The tension is not rooted in panic. Far from it. It is rooted in the awareness that the margin for error is narrowing, and each decision now carries more weight than it did a few months ago. The situation becomes even more interesting when you consider the January window approaching. It is a period that often brings hope, uncertainty, and the sense that anything can happen. For Rangers, this upcoming window carries even more significance because several areas of the squad still feel incomplete. The team has undoubtedly shown improvements under the new structure, becoming more disciplined, more efficient, and more composed in key phases of matches. Yet, as with any rebuild, there are cracks that cannot be ignored and positions that still lack consistency. The need for players who can immediately slot into the system and enhance the collective output is clearer than ever. That is why the chase for the Norwegian midfielder has sparked such curiosity among supporters. His profile feels like a piece of the puzzle that Rangers have been missing for some time. At nearly 2 meters tall, with a powerful stride and unusual composure on the ball, he brings a blend of physicality and technique rarely found in such a young player. Reports from his current league describe him as someone who reads the game 2 steps ahead, using his frame not just to dominate duels, but to dictate tempo. And with the Scottish Premiership known for its intensity and demanding pace, his style could translate surprisingly well. But the challenge, as always, is financial. The club's current resources have to be used wisely, especially after the heavy spending seen in the summer. The Norwegian side holding his rights are under no pressure to sell cheaply, and previous offers from other clubs have already been turned down. It means Rangers must decide whether this is a moment to stretch the budget, trusting their assessment of the player's potential, or if they should wait and risk losing him to another European side. And the supporters are split on this as well. Some believe bold investment is exactly what the club needs to unlock the next level. Others argue that careful planning must take priority until the squad proves it can deliver consistently over a longer run. Meanwhile, the broader narrative around the French winger continues to evolve. Training ground tensions are becoming harder to dismiss, and the coaching staff have been watching closely to see how he responds to the criticism surrounding him. In football, reactions often tell you more than statistics ever can. A player who shows resilience, determination, and willingness to adapt tends to earn his place back, but a player who retreats further into frustration risks drifting away from the squad's rhythm. For a team like Rangers, built on intensity, unity, and accountability, attitude carries just as much value as ability. There have been hints that the manager is trying to rebuild his confidence, offering guidance, and trying to adjust certain aspects of his role to suit his natural tendencies. But adapting to a compact system demands discipline, quick decision-making, and constant movement without the ball, areas where he has found the transition more difficult. Supporters who once celebrated his unpredictability now question whether that same unpredictability has turned into inconsistency. The truth likely lies somewhere in the middle, and time will tell whether this is a player rediscovering his spark or a talent better suited to a different environment. The dressing room dynamic also plays a part in how these situations unfold. Experienced senior players often help younger teammates navigate rough patches, but there is only so much encouragement can do when results intensify scrutiny. As the team pushes through a demanding fixture list, every player is expected to be fully committed, both mentally and physically. When someone appears off the pace, even slightly, the ripple effects can unsettle the balance. It is why the coaching staff remain on high alert, watching body language, training behavior, and overall contribution closely. Outside of this, there are whispers about other potential targets the club might pursue once the window opens. A defender with strong aerial presence has been mentioned, along with a versatile forward capable of playing across the front line. None of these names have reached more than quiet background discussions, but the fact they are being considered shows the club understands the need to strengthen with precision rather than volume. The days of bringing in players simply to fill numbers must be behind them. The aim now is to recruit footballers who elevate the standards of the squad immediately. Supporters have begun debating what positions feel most urgent. Some insist the midfield remains the priority, especially with the manager's emphasis on controlling transitions and maintaining structure. Others argue that the attack still lacks consistency, pointing to matches where possession was strong, but the final ball lacked quality. And then there is the defensive line, which, despite improvements, still has moments where individual errors creep in and undo otherwise solid performances. This balance between all three departments highlights the delicate task the club faces, improving the team without destabilizing what has already begun to work. Beyond recruitment, the long-term identity of the team continues to take shape. You can see it in the way they press, the intensity they bring when out of possession, and the growing understanding between players who were strangers to one another at the start of the season. But identity is built not only through tactics, but through personalities, through the players who set the tone in tough moments. And this is where the decisions around both departures and arrivals become crucial. The club must not only sign talent, they must sign character. What makes everything even more compelling is the pressure coming from the fans, who demand progress but also crave stability. The Scottish game is unforgiving, and Rangers live in a world where every draw feels like a crisis and every defeat feels like an emergency. The expectations are enormous, and every player who pulls on the shirt knows that. But expectations are not a burden. They are part of what makes the club so powerful. Supporters want a team that mirrors their passion, their fight, and their willingness to give everything. That is the standard, and it always will be. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. Whispers are swirling through Ibrox after Rangers boss Danny Röhl apparently drew a hard line with one of his first-team regulars. According to sources close to the squad, Röhl has taken the dramatic step of sidelining a starter due to alleged indiscipline, sending shockwaves through the dressing room. The move has left supporters in a state of disbelief, with fans speculating wildly about who could have crossed the German manager's notoriously strict code of conduct. Insiders suggest that the incident was more than a minor lapse. Röhl, who has swiftly established a reputation for being uncompromising in his approach, reportedly confronted the player directly before making the call to bench him indefinitely. Danny doesn't mess about, a source hinted. If he sees behavior that undermines the team, he acts. Simple as that. While the club has remained tight-lipped in official statements, the atmosphere around training ground sessions has been described as tense, with teammates apparently aware that the consequences of breaking club rules are very real. The timing of the decision is fueling speculation further, with some pundits suggesting it may affect upcoming selection choices. Conversations among supporters have been dominated by theories. Is this a clash of personalities, a breach of discipline on or off the pitch, or something else entirely? Röhl's philosophy seems clear. He values commitment and respect above all else, and anyone falling short is dealt with decisively. Social media is alight with rumors, and some fans are already weighing in on who might be next if Röhl continues his hardline approach. Meanwhile, within the squad, whispers suggest a mixture of surprise and quiet admiration. Players appear aware that the manager's zero-tolerance stance, while harsh, may ultimately strengthen the team's unity and focus. One thing is certain, the saga has reignited the long-running debate about the balance between talent and temperament in the Premiership. Supporters will be watching closely to see how this drama unfolds and whether Röhl's disciplinary gamble pays off on the pitch. Whether this will serve as a wake-up call or a disruptive scandal remains to be seen, but for now, Ibrox is buzzing with speculation. The message from the dugout couldn't be clearer. Discipline is non-negotiable, and Danny Röhl isn't afraid to prove it. Greetings, fans! Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned